Captain Taewoo Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderbolt, the most advanced warship Earth had ever built. The large viewing window showed the darkness of space, broken only by distant stars. Taewoo was 38 years old, with short, black hair and tired eyes that had seen too many close calls. He wore the dark blue uniform of the United Earth Space Force with 3 gold stripes on each shoulder. "Captain, we're entering the outer patrol zone," said Lieutenant Ji-ho Park from his station. Ji-ho was younger than the captain, only 26, but already known for his sharp eyes and quick thinking. His fingers moved quickly over the glowing control panel as he checked the ship's position. Taewoo nodded. "Maintain course and speed. Any signs of activity in this sector?" "Nothing unusual, sir. All quiet." The Thunderbolt had been on patrol for 3 weeks now. After humans had started building homes on other planets, Earth needed ships to protect these new colonies. The Thunderbolt was the best of these ships, fast, strong, and built to survive almost anything. "I don't like quiet," said Security Chief Hana Lee from her station on the right side of the bridge. Her job was to keep the ship safe, and she was very good at it. The colony on New Busan reported strange sensor readings last month. Then nothing. That's why we're here. Taewoo walked to the center of the bridge. The room was not large, but it held 6 crew members at their stations. Screens covered the walls showing the space around them and the status of the ship. The lights were kept low to help them see the screens better. "Sometimes quiet is just quiet," Taewoo said, but he didn't really believe it. 20 years in, space had taught him that the universe was rarely quiet without a reason. The ship continued moving through the darkness. Below the bridge, 200 crew members worked in engine rooms, weapons stations, and living areas. The Thunderbolt was like a small town in space, carrying everything needed to survive for months without help. "Sir," Ji-ho suddenly called, out. "I'm picking up something strange. Energy readings at Mark 227, nothing like our ships." Taewoo moved quickly to Ji-ho's station. "Show me." The screen showed a point of light that wasn't there before. Data scrolled next to it, numbers that didn't make sense to most people but told Ji-ho that something big was out there. "Whatever it is, it's moving toward us," Ji-ho said. "Fast. Yellow alert," Taewoo ordered. Throughout the ship, yellow lights began to flash, and a calm voice announced the alert status. Crew members moved to their stations, ready for anything. Navigation Officer Mi-sun Kang spoke up from her station. "Sir, should I change our course?" "No," Taewoo said, after thinking for a moment. "Keep our position. Let's see what we're dealing with." The bridge grew quiet. Only the soft beeping of machines broke the silence. "It's slowing down," Ji-ho reported. "Coming to a stop about 50,000 kilometers away." "Can we see it?" Taewoo asked, putting it on the main screen now. The large screen at the front of the bridge changed to show what looked like a ship, but unlike any human design. It was shaped like a crystal, with a surface that seemed to change colors as they watched. It was both beautiful and strange. "It's big," Weapons Officer Hyun-ki Ryu said from his station. "At least twice our size." Taewoo studied the alien ship. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. There had been signs of other life, strange signals, unexplained sightings, but never clear proof. Until now. "Open communications," he ordered. "All frequencies." Communications Officer Song Yi-jeon pressed several buttons on her panel. "Channel open, sir." Taewoo stood straighter. He knew his words might be the first humans ever spoke to another intelligent species. "This is Captain Taewoo Kim of the United Earthship Thunderbolt. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly contact." They waited. Seconds turned into minutes with no response. "Are they receiving our message?" Taewoo asked. Song-yi checked her readings. "The signal is clear, sir. They're getting it." "Maybe they don't understand us," Hana suggested. "Or maybe they're deciding if they want to talk to us," Taewoo said, quietly. Suddenly, the alien ship began to glow with a green light. The light grew brighter until it shot out in a wide beam that hit the Thunderbolt. "We're being scanned," Ji-ho called out, his voice rising. "It's going through everything, our hull, our systems, even us." "Red alert," Taewoo ordered. Red lights replaced the yellow ones throughout the ship. Shields up! The protective energy shields of the Thunderbolt came to life, surrounding the ship in a bubble of force. But the green light still came through. Shields at maximum, but the scan is still penetrating, reported Hyun Ki from the weapons station. Is it harmful? Tae-woo asked, looking at Hana. The security chief checked her readings. No damage reported, but they're getting information about everything. Our weapons, our engines, our crew, even our bodies. Captain Kim's mind raced. This wasn't an attack, at least not a direct one. But information could be just as dangerous as weapons. Can we block it? Negative, sir, Hana replied. Their technology is far beyond ours. Throughout the ship, crew members felt a strange tingling as the scan passed through them. In the medical bay, Dr. Jin Woo-yoon watched in amazement as the medical scanners picked up the alien beam, examining the human body down to the cellular level. Back on the bridge, Tae-woo made a decision. Prepare to move away, but don't fire weapons. I don't want to start a war if we can avoid it. Before Mi-sun could change course, the green light vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. Scan complete, Ji-ho reported. They've stopped. The bridge. Crew looked at each other, unsure what would happen next. The alien ship hung in space, silent and mysterious. Now they know everything about us, Hyun Ki said, his hand hovering near the weapons controls. But we know nothing about them. Not true, said Chief Engineer Subin Choi as she walked onto the bridge. She had been monitoring the scan from engineering. We know they're curious, and we know they're much more advanced than we are. Subin was the oldest person on the bridge at 45. Her hands were rough from years of working with machines, and she understood the Thunderbolt better than anyone. Did the black box protocol activate? Tae-woo asked her quietly. Subin nodded. Yes, Captain. When the scan hit us, the system showed them what we wanted them to see. They think they know our full capabilities, but they don't. This was a secret only the highest officers knew. After humans began exploring space, they built their ships with hidden features and false information. If anyone ever scanned a human warship, they would see impressive weapons and strong defenses, but not the full truth. Good, Tae-woo said. What else do we know about them? Intelligence Officer Dong Hyun-yoon stepped forward with a tablet in his hand. He had been analyzing the scan data. The ship is made of materials we've never seen before. Their energy readings suggest they're at least 500 years ahead of us technologically. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. 500 years was a huge gap. When humans were still fighting with swords and arrows, these beings might have already been traveling between stars. Captain, Song-yi called from communications. They're sending a signal. Put it on screen, Tae-woo ordered. The main screen flickered and then showed the inside of the alien ship. Standing there was a tall being with a hard, shiny body like an insect. It had large compound eyes and moving mouth parts that reminded Tae-woo of an earth mantis, but much larger. The alien spoke, its voice translated by the ship's computer into something humans could understand. We are the Cerulans. Your vessel has entered space we monitor. Identify your purpose. Tae-woo stepped forward, keeping his voice calm and face neutral. I am Captain Tae-woo Kim of Earth. We are on a routine patrol to protect our colonies. We did not know this space belonged to anyone. The alien's head tilted slightly. It does not belong to us. We monitor many sectors for threats. And are we considered a threat? Tae-woo asked. The alien was quiet for a moment before answering. That is yet to be determined. Your biology is unusual. Your ship design is concerning. Behind Tae-woo, the bridge crew exchanged looks. What had the aliens seen that worried them? We mean no harm, Tae-woo said. We want peaceful relations with all species. Peace, the alien repeated. We will discuss this further. Prepare to receive representatives. With that, the screen went dark. Sir, Hana said urgently. They're launching a smaller craft, heading straight for us. Tae-woo took a deep breath. First contact was about to become face-to-face. Prepare the meeting room, he ordered. And let's hope they're as interested in peace as we are. But as he gave the order, Taewoo couldn't help wondering what the aliens had seen in their scan that filled them with such obvious concern. Admiral Woojin Nakdong stood in the command center of the Cerulean ship Starlight Whisper. The room was round and larger than the bridge of the human ship. Soft blue light came from the walls, making everything look calm. But Admiral Nakdong did not feel calm. "Show me the scan results again," he ordered, his voice sharp. The Admiral was tall for a Cerulean, with a hard outer shell that shimmered in dark blue and green colors. His compound eyes could see in many directions at once. Forearms moved quickly, as he pointed to different screens around him. "Yes, Admiral," replied Science Officer Tierlan. She was smaller than the Admiral, with lighter blue colors on her shell. Her movements were quick and precise as she brought up the scan data on the main screen. The Ceruleans had been watching humans for a long time. They had observed Earth from far away, seeing how humans built cities, fought wars, and finally reached for the stars. The Ceruleans were much older as a species. They had been traveling in space for thousands of years, while humans had only left their planet about 100 years ago. "These readings cannot be right," Admiral Nakdong said as he studied the information. "Run the biological scans again." Tierlan tapped on her control panel. "I have already checked 3 times, Admiral. The data is correct." The screen showed detailed information about the human body, bones, muscles, organs, and blood. It also showed brain patterns and nervous system responses. What troubled the Admiral was not what he saw, but what it meant. "Look at this," Tierlan said, pointing to one section of data. "Humans can live in gravity much stronger than their home planet. They can survive in very hot and very cold places. They can go without water for days, and without food for weeks. And their ability to heal," added Medical Officer Sayri. She had been studying the human biology with great interest. They recover from injuries that would kill most species. Their bones knit back together. Their skin grows back. Their blood carries oxygen so efficiently they can run for hours. Admiral Nakdong made a clicking sound with his mandibles, a sign of worry among Ceruleans. "What about their response to danger?" Sayri changed the display to show human brain scans. "When threatened, their bodies release chemicals that make them stronger and faster. Pain becomes less important. They can keep fighting even when badly hurt. A species evolved for survival at all costs," Admiral Nakdong said quietly. "There's more," said Weapons Master Gulpei. He was the oldest Cerulean present, with battle scars visible on his shell. "Their ship design is troubling." The display changed to show a detailed map of the human warship. The Ceruleans had scanned every part of it, from the outer hull to the smallest rooms inside. "Look at the redundant systems," Gulpei pointed out. "They have backup power generators, backup life support, backup navigation. Even their weapons and shield systems have backups." "That's normal for a warship," Admiral Nakdong said. "Not like this," Gulpei insisted. "Their ship is designed to keep fighting even when half destroyed. Most species build ships to avoid damage. These humans build ships expecting to be damaged, and they design them to continue functioning anyway." The Admiral looked closer at the schematics. The human ship had thick internal walls that could seal off damaged sections. It had multiple command centers in case the main bridge was hit. The life support system could be controlled from any level of the ship. "And their weapons," Gulpei continued. "They appear simple, but they're actually quite clever. Their main energy weapons have multiple power routings. If one path is cut, power automatically flows through another." "What about their defenses?" Admiral Nakdong asked. "Their shields are not as advanced as ours," Tierlan reported, "but they've designed them to be strongest at the most vulnerable points of the ship." "Clever," the Admiral admitted. "They know their limitations and compensate for them." Tierlan brought up another image, this one showing the reactor at the heart of the human ship. "Their power system is fascinating. It's less efficient than ours, but it's built to withstand extreme conditions." Admiral Nakdong stepped back from the screens and looked at his officers. "What does this tell us about these humans?" "They evolved on a dangerous world," Sayri said. "Their planet has more extreme weather, more dangerous predators, and more natural disasters than most life-bearing worlds. They are used to fighting, Gulpai added. Their history is full of wars. They fought each other constantly before they reached space. And they expect the worst, Tirlan finished. They build their ships and train their crews assuming that things will go wrong. The Admiral walked slowly around the command center, thinking about what he had learned. The Ceruleans had encountered many species in their long history. Some were peaceful traders, some were curious explorers, some were even dangerous predators. But humans were something different. Bring up their crew manifest, he ordered. The screen changed to show information about the people on the human ship. There were 200 crew members from many different parts of Earth. They had different skin colors, different sizes, and different strengths, but they all shared the same remarkable biology. They call their ship Thunderbolt, Admiral Nakdong noted. Named after a weapon of their ancient gods. A storm weapon, Gulpai said with a nod. Appropriate for a warship. But they claim to be peaceful, Tirlan reminded them. Their captain said they were only patrolling to protect their colonies. Admiral Nakdong made another clicking sound. Many species claim to be peaceful. Actions show the truth better than words. He turned to look at a smaller screen showing the human captain, Tae-Woo Kim. The human stood straight, showing no fear despite facing an unknown species with superior technology. The Admiral found this interesting. We must inform the High Council. Immediately, he decided. These humans are unlike any species we have encountered before. Is that shuttle ready? He asked, turning to Gulpai. Yes, Admiral. The diplomatic team is prepared to board the human ship. I will go myself, Admiral Nakdong announced. The other Ceruleans looked surprised. It was unusual for an admiral to join a first contact mission. Sir, is that wise? Gulpai asked. We don't know if they're dangerous. That's exactly why I must go, Admiral Nakdong replied. I need to see these humans with my own eyes. I need to understand what kind of species can survive on a death world, and then build ships that reflect their own tenacity. He walked toward the exit, his mind made up. Prepare the shuttle, and send all this scan data to the High Council. They need to know what we've found. As he walked down the corridor toward the shuttle bay, Admiral Nakdong thought about the strange humans waiting on the other ship. They were young as a species, new to the stars. But there was something about them that made him uneasy. Most species in the galaxy evolved on gentle worlds with mild climates and few natural threats. They developed technology before they developed strong bodies. They learned to avoid danger rather than face it. But these humans had evolved differently. They had faced danger and survived. They had built their bodies and their ships to endure. What would kill others? They expected things to go wrong, and they were always ready when they did. That made them dangerous in a way that advanced weapons never could. The shuttle was waiting when Admiral Nakdong arrived at the bay. It was small and elegant like all Cerulean craft. 5 other Ceruleans waited inside, including Tirlan. You're coming too? He asked her. I need to see them as well, she replied. Our scans tell us facts, but not understanding. Admiral Nakdong nodded in agreement. As the shuttle prepared to leave, he looked one more time at the human warship visible through the bay window. It wasn't beautiful like Cerulean ships. It was functional, strong, and ready for battle. Just like its crew. These humans, he said, quietly to Tirlan, may change everything we thought we knew about the galaxy. The shuttle doors closed, and they began their journey to meet the humans face to face. Captain Tae-Woo Kim waited in the main meeting room of the Thunderbolt. The room was large compared to most spaces on the ship, with a long table in the center and chairs for 12 people. One wall had a large screen for presentations, while another had a window looking out into space. They'll be here in 5 minutes, said Lieutenant Ji-Ho Park, who stood near the door checking his tablet. Their shuttle is approaching our docking bay. Tae-Woo nodded. His face was calm, but inside he felt a mix of excitement and worry. Humans had dreamed of meeting aliens for centuries. Now it was happening, and it was his job to make sure it went well. Is everything ready? He asked. Yes, sir, replied security. Chief Hana Lee. She stood on the other side of the room, her uniform perfect and her back straight. "We have security teams stationed in the corridors, but they won't be visible unless needed. We don't want our guests to feel threatened." Tae-woo walked to the window and looked out at the stars. The alien ship was visible in the distance, shining with that strange, color-changing light. "Any updates from engineering?" he asked without turning around. "Chief Engineer Subin is on her way up," Ji-ho answered. "She said she has important information about the scan." As if on cue, the door slid open and Subin Choi walked in. Her uniform was wrinkled and had oil stains on the sleeves. She carried a tablet computer and looked excited. "Captain, you need to see this," she said, walking straight to Tae-woo and showing him the tablet. "When their scan hit us, our black box protocols worked perfectly, but I've been analyzing what kind of information they were looking for, and it's fascinating." Tae-woo looked at the data on the screen. It showed complex charts and diagrams that only an engineer would fully understand. "Give me the simple version, Chief," he said. Subin took a deep breath. They were most interested in three things: our biology, our ship design, and our weapons. They spent 60% of their scan energy just studying our bodies. Our bodies. Tae-woo frowned. Why would they care so much about that? Intelligence officer. Dong Hyun-yoon stepped forward. He had been quiet until now, listening and thinking. "Because we're different," he said. "Remember, we evolved on Earth, a planet with high gravity, extreme weather, and thousands of dangerous predators. Most life-bearing planets in our simulations are much more gentle than Earth." Tae-woo thought about this. Humans had always assumed they were normal, maybe even weak compared to what aliens might be like. The idea that humans might be seen as unusual or dangerous was new. "What did they see when they scanned our ship?" he asked Subin. The chief engineer smiled. "They saw what we wanted them to see. The black box showed them our official weapon systems, which are impressive enough, but not our new plasma cannons or the experimental shield generators." "And the crew?" Tae-woo asked. "They got basic biological data on everyone," Dong Hyun said. "Heart rate, bone density, muscle mass, brain patterns. Nothing private, but enough to understand human biology." Captain Kim walked to the table and sat down at the head of it. The others took seats around him. "So when these aliens arrive," he said slowly, "they'll think they know what we're capable of, but they'll only know part of the truth." "Exactly," Subin nodded. "It's like showing someone your cards in a game, but not all of them." Tae-woo wasn't sure this was a good thing. Hiding information could look like a trick, and tricks could lead to mistrust. "We need to be careful," he said. "These beings are at least 500 years ahead of us technologically. If they decide we're a threat, they could destroy this ship easily." "But they didn't," Hana pointed out. "They scanned us, and now they want to talk. That's a good sign." A beeping sound came from Ji-ho's tablet. He checked it and looked up. "Sir, their shuttle has docked. They're on board." Tae-woo stood up and straightened his uniform. "Let's welcome them properly. Dong-hyun, you come with Hana and me. Subin, you and Ji-ho wait here and prepare the presentation. The captain, security." Chief and intelligence officer left the meeting room and walked down the corridor toward the docking bay. As they walked, crew members stopped and stood aside, watching with curious eyes. Everyone had heard about the aliens by now. "Remember," Tae-woo said quietly as they approached the docking bay, "we represent not just this ship but all of humanity. Let's make a good first impression." The doors to the docking bay slid open. Inside, a small shuttle sat on the deck. It was silver and blue, with smooth curves that made it look like it was made of flowing water. A door on the side of the shuttle was just opening. Tae-woo, Hana, and Dong-hyun stopped a respectful distance away and waited. The first Cerulean to step out was tall, almost 7 feet, with a hard shell that looked like armor. It had 4 arms and 2 legs, and a head with large compound eyes that reflected the light in rainbow colors. Behind it came 5 more Ceruleans, similar in appearance but with different colors and sizes. The tallest Cerulean stepped forward, its movements smooth and graceful despite its hard shell. "I am Admiral Woo Jin Nakdong of the Cerulean Empire," it said in a voice that sounded partly like speech and partly like music. A small device on its chest translated its words into English. I thank you for allowing us to board your vessel. Tae-woo bowed slightly, a sign of respect from his culture. I am Captain Tae-woo Kim of the United Earthship Thunderbolt. This is Security Chief Hana Lee and Intelligence Officer Dong-hyun Yoon. Welcome aboard. The Admiral's head tilted to one side, a gesture that Tae-woo couldn't interpret. Was it confusion? Interest? Worry? Your hospitality is noted, Admiral Nakdong said. May I introduce Science Officer Tirlan, who will be recording our meeting. One of the smaller Saralans stepped forward and nodded its head in what seemed like an attempt to copy Tae-woo's bow. We have prepared a meeting room, Tae-woo said, gesturing toward the door. If you'll follow me. As they walked through the corridors of the Thunderbolt, Tae-woo noticed the Sarulans looking at everything with great interest. Their compound eyes missed nothing. Your ship is very functional, Admiral Nakdong commented. Every space is used efficiently. Thank you, Tae-woo replied. On long missions, every bit of space matters. They reached the meeting room where Subin and Jiho were waiting. More introductions were made, and then everyone sat down. The Saralans seemed comfortable with human chairs, though their posture was different. Before we begin formal discussions, Admiral Nakdong said, I must ask about our scan of your vessel. It is standard procedure for us when meeting new species. I hope it was not seen as an aggressive act. Tae-woo chose his words carefully. It was unexpected. In human culture, scanning someone without permission is considered intrusive. The Admiral made a soft clicking sound. I apologize for the cultural misunderstanding. We have found that direct data gathering is more reliable than exchanging information verbally. No harm was done, Tae-woo said with a small smile, and now you know more about us, which should help our discussions. Indeed, the Admiral agreed, but something in its tone made Tae-woo think the Saralan was troubled. We found your species. Quite interesting. Subin looked at Tae-woo with a raised eyebrow. He gave her a small nod, and she activated the screen on the wall. We've prepared some information about humans and Earth that might add to what you learned from your scan, she said. We believe in open communication between peaceful species. The screen showed images of Earth, its oceans, mountains, cities, and people. There were charts about human history, biology, and technology. It was all true information, carefully selected to show humanity in a positive light. As the presentation played, Tae-woo watched the Saralans. They seemed especially interested in the images of Earth's varied environments and the different human cultures. Your world has more variety than most life-bearing planets, Admiral Nakdong observed, and much more extreme conditions. Earth can be harsh, Tae-woo admitted, but it's home. When the presentation ended, there was a moment of silence. Then Admiral Nakdong spoke again. Captain Kim, I must be direct. Our scan revealed things about humans that concern us. Your biology is unusually robust. Your ship design suggests you expect conflict. Your history contains many wars. Tae-woo felt the tension in the room increase. This was the moment that would set the tone for humanity's relationship with the first alien species they had met. Admiral, he said, leaning forward, humans have indeed fought many wars among ourselves. We have made terrible mistakes and caused great suffering. But we have also created art, music, and literature. We have studied the stars and dreamed of meeting others who do the same. He gestured to the screen, which now showed Earth at night with city lights glowing across the continents. We come from a challenging world, and yes, that has made us strong. But it has also taught us the value of cooperation, of working together to overcome problems. We're not perfect, but we're trying to be better. Admiral Nakdong's compound eyes reflected the image of Earth. For a long moment, the Saralan was silent, considering Tae-woo's words. The future of human-Saralan relations hung in the balance. The grand meeting hall of the Saralan High Council was built thousands of years ago. Its high ceiling was made of a clear material that showed the stars above. 12 tall chairs formed a circle in the center, where the council elders sat. Around them were seats for advisors and guests. Today every seat was filled. Admiral Woojin Nakdong stood in the center of the circle, facing Elder Shin Tu, the leader of the council. The Admiral had just finished sharing everything about the humans. "These scans are very troubling," said Elder Shintu. Her shell was pale blue with silver patterns that showed her high rank. Her compound eyes seemed to glow in the dim light of the hall. "Are you certain the data is accurate?" "Yes, Elder," Admiral Nakdong replied. "Science Officer Tier Lan checked the results many times. These humans are exactly as I have described." Elder Shintu turned to the other council members. "What are your thoughts on this matter?" Elder Macvorn, who was in charge of defense, spoke first. "Their technology is far behind ours. Their weapons are primitive. Their ships are slow. They pose no immediate threat. But their rate of development is unlike anything we have seen," countered Elder Junsei, who oversaw scientific research. "Look at this chart." A large display appeared in the air above them. It showed a line that went up slowly at first, then rose sharply toward the end. "This represents human technological advancement," Junsei explained. "They went from simple flying machines to space travel in less than 200 years. Most species take 500 to 1,000 years to make the same progress." "That is concerning," admitted Macvorn. "But they are still centuries behind us." "For now," Junsei said. "But if they continue at this pace, they will catch up to our level in just 300 years. That is very fast in galactic terms." Science Director Mira stood from her seat among the advisors. She had not been on the mission to the human ship, but she had studied all the data. "The Council must understand that the threat is not just their technology," she said. "It's their biology and their mindset." Mira walked to the center of the circle and activated another display. This one showed a human body, with all its systems visible. "Humans evolved on what we would call a death world," she explained. "Earth has high gravity, extreme weather, and many natural dangers. This forced humans to develop bodies that can survive incredible hardship." She pointed to different parts of the display. "Their bones are stronger than ours, despite being made of similar materials. Their muscles can tear and heal repeatedly, growing stronger each time. Their skin can repair itself from cuts and burns. They can lose large amounts of blood and survive." The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "Even more concerning is their brain," Mira continued. "When humans face danger, their bodies release chemicals that make them stronger and faster. Pain becomes less important. They can keep fighting even when seriously injured. Many predator species have similar traits," Elder Macvorn pointed out. "True," Mira agreed. "But most predator species are not also highly intelligent tool users who build starships." Elder Shintu raised a hand to quiet the growing murmurs. In the hall, "Admiral Nakdong, you met these humans face to face. What was your impression?" The Admiral thought carefully before answering. His meeting with Captain Kim and the human crew had been unexpected. They were polite and seemed genuine in their desire for peaceful relations, he said, but I sensed something beneath their friendly words, a readiness, a watchfulness. They were always aware of their surroundings, always ready to act if needed. "Like predators," someone whispered. "No." Admiral Nakdong shook his head. "More like survivors, beings who never take safety for granted." Another advisor stood up. This was Kai Lan, an expert on galactic cultures. "We should also consider their social structure. Most advanced species develop strong central authority that controls violence and channels energy into productive areas." He activated a new display showing scenes from human history. "Humans are different. They have many separate governments. They value individual choice highly. They debate constantly. Where we seek harmony, they celebrate passionate disagreement." "That sounds chaotic," said Elder Lin Wei, who oversaw cultural affairs. "It is," Kai Lan agreed. "But it drives innovation at a remarkable pace. Their arguments lead to new ideas. Their competitions drive progress." The council was silent for a moment, considering all they had heard. Then Elder Shintu spoke again. "Admiral, tell us about their ship design. What did you learn?" Admiral Nakdong activated a new display showing the human warship Thunderbolt. Their ships reflect their biology, he explained. Just as humans are built to survive damage, so are their vessels. They have multiple redundant systems. If one part fails, another takes over. They can seal off damaged sections and keep fighting. He pointed to the ship's power center. Their reactor technology is inefficient compared to ours, but extremely sturdy. It can handle conditions that would cause our more delicate systems to fail. But we could still destroy their ships easily, Elder MacVorn insisted. Yes, Admiral, Nakdong agreed. But that's not the point. The point is what these designs tell us about how humans think. They expect things to go wrong. They plan for disaster. They build for survival at all costs. Fear was spreading through the council hall. The Saralan Empire had maintained peace for thousands of years through technological superiority. They had never needed to be as tough as these humans. They had never faced the kind of challenges that shaped human evolution. There's something else, said Weapons Master Gulpe, who had accompanied the Admiral to the human ship. Something our scans detected but couldn't fully explain. All eyes turned to him. Many systems on their ship seemed hidden, he said, as if they were showing us some things but not others. We detected energy flows that didn't connect to any visible system. Are you suggesting they were deceiving us? Elder Shintu asked sharply. Not necessarily deceiving, Admiral Nakdong said, but perhaps not revealing everything, just as a wise trader doesn't show all his goods at once. This news caused even more worry. A species that could hide things during a Saralan deep scan was concerning. Elder Shintu raised her hands for quiet. We must decide how to proceed with these humans. They are still small in number. They have only a few colonies near their homeworld, but they are growing quickly. We should restrict them to their current territory, suggested Elder MacVorn. Set boundaries they cannot cross. That would be seen as hostile, warned Admiral Nakdong. It could cause the very conflict we hope to avoid. We could share some of our technology, offered Elder Junsai. Guide their development in peaceful directions. Or that could help them advance even faster, countered MacVorn. The debate continued as the Saralan High Council tried to decide what to do about the humans. They had encountered many species over thousands of years, but none quite like these tough, adaptable beings from Earth. Meanwhile, on the Thunderbolt, Captain Taewoo Kim was having a meeting of his own. His senior officers gathered around the table in the meeting room, all talking at once about their encounter with the Saralans. They were scanning everything as they walked through the ship, Hana said. I could see their eyes moving, taking in every detail. Did you notice how they reacted when I mentioned Earth's gravity? Subin asked. They seemed surprised that we consider 1G normal. Taewoo listened to all their observations, then held up a hand for quiet. What matters now is what they decide to do, he said. Admiral Nakdong said they would contact us again after reporting to their High Council. And what do you think they'll decide? Asked Dong-hyun. Captain Kim looked out the window at the Saralan ship, still keeping its distance from the Thunderbolt. I think they're afraid of us, he said quietly. Not of our weapons or our ship, but of what we are. The room fell silent as everyone considered this idea. Humans had always imagined aliens would be more advanced, more powerful. The idea that such beings might fear humans was new and strange. Is fear a good thing? Jiho finally asked. Will it make them leave us alone or see us as a threat? That, said Captain Kim, is what we're about to find out. 1 week after the meeting with the Saralans, the Thunderbolt was called back to Earth. The ship traveled through space at its top speed, leaving behind the area where they had met the alien vessel. Captain Taewoo Kim stood in front of the United Earth Defense Council in a large meeting room. The room had a round table with seats for 15 people. The walls were lined with screens showing maps of human space and defense statistics. Captain Kim, thank you for coming, said Defense Secretary Jinsu Park. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and a serious face. Your report about the Saralan encounter has been read by everyone in this room. Now we need to hear directly from you. Taewoo looked around the table. The most powerful military leaders of Earth were all watching him. He felt the weight of the moment The Sarolans have proposed formal diplomatic relations, he began. After their initial scan of our ship and our meeting aboard the Thunderbolt, they sent a message suggesting regular communication and possible trade agreements. And you believe they're sincere? Asked General Lee, head of the Space Force. Yes, Tae-woo said. But they're also cautious. During our meeting, Admiral Nakdong made it clear that they found humans concerning. Concerning? Secretary Park raised an eyebrow. In what way? Tae-woo looked at Intelligence Officer Dong-hyun Yoon, who stood behind him with a tablet computer. Dong-hyun stepped forward. Based on our analysis of their questions and reactions, he explained, the Cerulans were deeply unsettled by human biology. They evolved on a world with much lower gravity and fewer environmental challenges than Earth. To them, we appear unusually strong, resilient, and adaptable. They were also troubled by the design of the Thunderbolt, added Chief Engineer Subin Choi, who had joined them for the meeting. Our redundant systems, ability to function with massive damage and focus on crew survival rather than ship preservation, these design elements reflect our evolutionary history. Secretary Park leaned back in her chair, a small smile on her face. So the Thunderbolt performed exactly as designed. Tae-woo exchanged looks with his crew. This comment suggested something important. Madam Secretary, he said carefully, are you saying the Thunderbolt was built not just as a warship but as a message to any advanced species we might encounter? Secretary Park nodded. After our early explorations discovered signs of other civilizations, we realized something important. Humans would likely be technological newcomers in the galaxy. We would need advantages beyond weapons and shields. She stood up and walked to a large screen on the wall. It showed the design plans for ships like the Thunderbolt. Every human military vessel incorporates what we call psychological projection design, she explained. We build our ships to tell a story about humanity. The story is simple. We are hard to kill. We plan for the worst. We never give up. Tae-woo thought about this. The Thunderbolt had dozens of features that would seem strange to engineers focused only on efficiency. Now he understood why. And it worked, said Security Chief Hana Lee, with a note of pride in her voice. The Cerulans saw our ship, studied our bodies, and decided we were too dangerous to threaten. What exactly have they proposed? Asked Admiral Chen, the oldest person at the table. Tae-woo activated his own tablet and read from it. The Cerulans have offered a non-aggression treaty. They recognize human territory as including Earth and our current colonies. They propose open communication channels and sharing of cultural information. They also suggest limited technology exchange in non-military areas. They're approaching us as equals, Secretary Park noted, despite their technological superiority. Yes, Tae-woo agreed. That's what surprised me most. Based on their technology, they could easily dominate us. But they're choosing cooperation instead. The room was quiet as everyone considered what this meant. Humans had worried for generations about what would happen when they met advanced aliens. Would Earth be conquered? Would humans be seen as primitive and ignored? No one had expected to be feared and respected. There's another thing, Dong-hyun added. The Cerulans mentioned other species in our region of the galaxy. Some are peaceful traders, some are aggressive explorers. By allying with the Cerulans, we gain information about these other beings before we encounter them. Secretary Park turned to the council members. I believe we should accept their proposal. A peaceful first contact with an advanced species is the best outcome we could have hoped for. The council members nodded in agreement. Captain Kim, Secretary Park said, turning back to Tae-woo, since you've already established a relationship with Admiral Nakdong, we'd like you to continue as our primary contact with the Cerulans. The Thunderbolt will be upgraded and then return to the contact point in 1 month. Tae-woo stood straighter. It would be an honor, Madam Secretary. As the meeting ended, Tae-woo and his crew were asked to wait in a smaller room next door. Large windows showed the city beyond, with tall buildings and flying vehicles moving between them. I can't believe we're going to be the official contact team with the first aliens, Jiho said, his voice excited. This will go down in history. It already has, Hana pointed out. The moment they scanned our ship, history changed. What I don't understand, Subin said, looking thoughtful, is why they feared us so much. Yes, humans are tough compared to them. Yes, our ships are built to take damage, but they're still centuries ahead of us in technology. Dong Hyun had been quiet, but now he looked up from his tablet. I've been analyzing everything we learned about the Ceruleans. I think I understand their fear. Everyone turned to him. The Ceruleans have been a spacefaring species for thousands of years, he explained. In that time, they've developed amazing technology, but they've also become comfortable, safe. They haven't needed to be tough or adaptable because their technology protects them from all threats. And then they meet humans, Taewoo said, understanding, who evolved on a dangerous world and are still wired for survival at all costs. Exactly. Dong Hyun nodded. They look at us and see a species that has all the physical and mental traits they've lost, and they see how fast we're advancing technologically. They're afraid of what we might become, Subin realized. The door opened and Secretary Park walked in. Your transport is ready, Captain. You'll be briefed on the full diplomatic mission next week. As they gathered their things to leave, Secretary Park spoke again. You should all be proud. The Thunderbolt's mission was a success in ways we never could have predicted. Later, as Taewoo stood on a balcony looking out at the city lights, he thought about humanity's place in the galaxy. Humans weren't the strongest, fastest, or most technologically advanced species, but they were perhaps the most determined. And in the eyes of the Ceruleans, that made them dangerous but also valuable as allies. What the aliens had seen when they scanned a human warship wasn't just technology. It was the indomitable human spirit made manifest in steel and circuitry. And that had filled them with fear, but also with respect. Taewoo looked up at the stars, thinking about the Ceruleans and the other alien species waiting out there. Humanity was just beginning its journey among the stars. They would face many challenges and probably some conflicts. But now he knew that humans had advantages beyond technology, advantages built into their very bodies and minds by millions of years of evolution on a challenging world. Sometimes the greatest victory comes not from firing weapons, but from making sure they never need to be fired at all. The Thunderbolt had won that kind of victory, and Taewoo was proud to have been part of it. A month later, the upgraded Thunderbolt met the Cerulean diplomatic vessel at the agreed location. As Captain Kim prepared to welcome Admiral Nakdong aboard, once again he smiled at the thought that humans, the newcomers to space, had earned the respect of beings who had traveled among the stars for thousands of years, not through conquest, not through superior technology, but through the simple, powerful message carried in their bodies and their ships. Humans endure, humans adapt, humans survive, and sometimes that was enough to change the balance of power among the stars. The end.